Welcome to the Education Corner, a podcast by Education Choices magazine.
Education Corner podcast would like to welcome Mrs. Alison Melrose, head at Cameron Vale School in Chelsea. Cameron Vale is a co-educational prep school located in the heart of Chelsea, London. With the Chelsea Nursery, they provide excellent care and education for children aged 2 to 11. Cameron Vale says they are driven by the belief that no one size fits all, and they strive to know every child as an individual, supporting them to develop their own unique gifts and talents. Alison Melrose has been head at Cameron Vale since 2023 and has experience working in independent and maintained schools across London. It's such a pleasure to have you on our podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be head at Cameron Vale?
I went to school in London myself. I went to one of the big girls' day schools. I went off to university to train to become a teacher. And then I returned to London and have never left it. So my entire career has been in London prep schools. I started working at Norland Place in 1996. So that will age me, no doubt. And spent 4 years working as a classroom teacher there before I moved to the Northwood Schools group, which at the time was Bromwood Hall and Northcote Lodge, a group of prep schools in southwest London. I joined as a teacher, but soon became the head of one of their schools when I was 28, and then became a member of the board of directors across the group. I worked for them for about 17 years in total in a variety of different roles as a head teacher. And then I worked for the central team across their marketing, admissions, HR operations. And after that, in 2017, I moved to working for Cognita, which is one of the large global schools groups, but focused on their London schools mainly. And these are schools that were expanding and they had a whole load of different projects on the go. And it was great to be able to work with them to see what direction and change they needed in their schools. So whilst I was working there, one of the school projects I was working on was St Nicholas Prep in Hyde Park and the opening of the new Prince's Gardens School in Knightsbridge, just the other side of the garden, which was 4 grade 2 listed buildings owned by Imperial College, which we totally refurbished to turn them into the most beautiful London prep school with access to an enormous garden. We did all of that through COVID, which was quite a challenge, running one school online and founding another. And that was an amazing project to be a part of. And then my son, actually my youngest son, joined the school. And when he got to be at the end of year 6, I'd worked on that school for 5 years in total. And we decided time to move along. And then I came to Cameron Vale,
where you sit right now. And could you tell us about the ethos and values at Cameron Vale and how you feel these have been encompassed throughout the school?
Cameron Vale is the Chelsea Nursery, and actually we take our little ones from 6 months up to 4 in our nursery provision. And then we have Cameron Vale, which is the prep school from 4 to 11. So we can have this seamless journey for these children from being little into being ready for that next step of their education and into senior school. So we have 5 school values that we celebrate throughout the week, and they are all to do with being courageous with your learning, critical thinking, working together and collaboration. And this goes right across the school from the nursery up into the upper school, the years 4, 5 and 6 as well. And it's really about being the best version of yourself you can be. The staff know the children really well, and the children know the staff incredibly well too, and the families. It's all about communication and making sure we are delivering that bespoke, unique curriculum for each child so that they are at that zone of proximal development at all the time. So they're confident in what they're doing, but they're also being stretched and challenged, but at a level that doesn't put them off. So we can make sure that each child is continuing to make progress throughout their time here. But it's more than that. It's about those personal connections. You know, we talk about not knowing what the children in schools are going to be doing in the future, and we genuinely don't. But the things that we can do something about is making sure that they are polite, they have good manners, they have a firm handshake and they look you in the eye, they have great interpersonal skills. Their critical thinking skills are developed through lots of higher order questioning, understanding about current affairs, knowledge of the world around them, so that they've got their own opinions and they can share their own opinions and they can stand on their own 2 feet, so that they are absolutely well prepared for that next step of their education and beyond. So really, really important for us to know the children, but equally we track their progress all the way through the school from when they first start, regular and frequent communication with parents, so it is a joined up conversation.
And it really is a very nurturing school, isn't it? I've been in a London school. It's very family centred. London is an increasingly diverse and global city. How do you feel you embrace and reflect this within the school?
Oh, very much so. So our school is relatively small. It is based in a Chelsea townhouse, so it keeps us very fit by going up and down the stairs every day. We do have a lovely garden at the back, which is very safe, very secure. It's got Astro on the floor and on the walls, actually. We have our lovely mud kitchen, sand pit, space to run around and play football. But what we don't provide within our building, we use in the local area. So we're always out and about, and you will see the children in their school uniform out and about every day. Fresh air, food and exercise is great for the mind and the body, which means that when they come back into the classroom, they're ready to focus. So, for example, for sport, we use a local AstroTurf pitch for our PE and games. We use 2 of the local swimming pools. We use Budokwai, which is a judo duomo just at the top of the road on the Fulham Road, St Luke's, Battersea Park. Our older children actually do 3 90-minute sessions of sport a week, which is probably more than any of the other local prep schools, I have to say. So we have a huge focus on outdoors and sport and getting the children out and about. We also have a forest school programme that we run from nursery into reception year 1 and year 2, where they do go on a little bus. This is the only time we use a minibus, is we take them to Barnes Common every week for a morning or an afternoon, where they have a full outdoor learning programme with the specialist staff there. And they learn about science and the outdoors and biology, nature, growing. They also learn to make fires, make hot chocolate in this weather. At Easter, they learn how to make pancakes over the fire. So a huge range of different activities, great for gross motor skills as well, because they can climb the trees and really get involved in outdoor learning. It's a great way to find out more about the children outside of the classroom. But also we integrate the resources in our local area into the curriculum. So, for example, we are a French teaching school. Our main modern foreign language is French, and we teach French to children who are new to French, but also we do a specialist programme for those who are native speakers as well. And we integrate that into our curriculum by going up to the Institut Français up in South Ken, where they go and watch short French films and do immersive activities. They will sing carols in French at the carol service. We have poetry competition during book week each year, and the older children will recite poetry in French as well. So we really do integrate language learning into our curriculum. But equally, we use the museums, which are just up the road. We've got all of the museums up at South Ken, the local Army Museum, the Saatchi Gallery. And these are all trips that we can do in a morning or an afternoon to really bring their learning to life. We talk about using London as our classroom. We will make sure that we use the resources available to us in our local area. And because we are a small school, we've got fantastic links with all the local businesses as well. So they provide opportunities for our children to go and learn about different industries. And that is great during Careers Week, where we're talking about financial literacy, preparing for the future, different careers, where the local businesses will invite the children in, because we can do that with a small class of 10 or 12, whereas you can't do it with a class of 24, into seeing how they work their kitchens or the local dog grooming. And it's just an amazing opportunity for us to be involved in the local community. So yes, we very much are part of London, part of Chelsea and part of our local community.
Your pupils also take part in Forest School with activities like den building, fire lighting, using tools. How do you feel that that adds to the curriculum through being outside as well as being in the city?
I think for many of our children, they will live in houses, but a lot of them will live in flats as well, which don't necessarily have outdoor space. So you have to go outside to have access to fresh air in the outdoors. And it's really important, particularly for those children that we've got living in flats, just being able to go up and down the stairs in our own building rather than using a lift. Those are really key skills when children are little. But just that access, so you're not always in your classroom. Children are clever. They know who's going to do well in the spelling test and they know who's learnt all their times tables. But when you go outside and you learn outside, it's a great leveler, and you will find that the children who are really engaged will absolutely flourish at Forest School. And there's no hierarchy of learning. And it's a great self-confidence boost. Just that physical activity helps with them retaining and learning all the information, the curriculum information that they're learning when they're doing outside learning. And it's these opportunities that they don't have as children because they live in a big city. It's important that they have that access to the fresh air, gross motor skills, getting outside, putting their wellies and their waterproofs on. No such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothing. So we make sure that our uniform list has got wellies on it, these brilliant sort of dungaree waterproof trousers and jackets. And it is one of their favourite times of the week. They also will then link that to going to the Wetlands Centre at Barnes. And it has inspired such amazing writing, creativity. And when we talk about creativity, we're not just talking about arts and crafts and drawing pictures. It's that creativity of learning and making connections between the real world and what they're doing in class.
It sounds amazing. The London senior school market is increasingly competitive, and I suppose for you, particularly because you finish at year 6, how do you prepare and support the children and families through the 11 plus process?
That's a great question, and that's something that we're asked about all the time. Because we have such strong links with our children and our parents, it very much is a family community here. We track their progress from when they first start. We're probably one of the few schools in London that reports to parents every half term. So every half term, parents will have a report from their teacher, which gives you information about attainment, behaviour for learning, and targets for English and maths, as well as pastoral feedback. Every half term, and then a full report in the summer. We also have parent-teacher meetings every term as well. So not just twice a year, but 3 times a year, plus an open door policy and very much strong communication between home and school. I am really not a fan of reports that come home saying, oh, they've made lovely progress with their reading. They might have made lovely progress with their reading for them, but they may still not be at an age appropriate level. So it's got to be quantified as to where they are. So parents have got a real understanding of their child's ability. So as well as that very clear and transparent information about progress and achievement, we support families by going through a huge process of information sharing about the 11 plus by having a sort of 11 plus coffee morning when parents are in year 3 and 4. We outline the process and some of the things that they need to think about as parents, and starting to think about long lists of schools. Do you want co-ed? Do you want single sex? Do you want to remain in London? Do you need prep until 13 plus? Are you then going to maybe go to boarding school? Is your child particularly sporty or musical? Is lunch important to you? Is sport important to you? Are you going to be moving house? So lots of different things to take into account. We then meet with parents on a one-to-one basis and review the academic information from the child, not just their standardised assessments, but also their work in class to make sure there's no discrepancy between the two. We make sure, do they have an even profile? Do they have a slightly spiky profile? Where are the areas that people can help at home? What are we doing at school? And we integrate things like the reasoning, verbal reasoning, spatial, current affairs, interview practice. In fact, I always ask colleagues who work in other schools to come in to do interview practice here at school so that the children have got an idea of what it's like going to speak to somebody that they've never met before. And it really takes the scariness out of it. We had the lovely Tom Dawson from Sunningdale come a few weeks ago, and he really put the children at ease before he started. And you could see they were visibly more relaxed and confident, having done some interview prep before they have gone on to do assessments, and they're starting to do interviews now. At the moment, are currently year sixes. We continue to do that very much one-to-one process throughout year 4 and year 5. And we suggest to parents that they go and visit the long list of schools by themselves initially. And once we've got the short list down to a few schools per child, we will suggest that they go and take their own child as well. And once we know which schools that they have registered for, and we very much encourage them to be registered by the end of the summer term in year 5, we will then tailor the prep to the schools that those children have applied for, so that we're focusing on each particular school. We also hold senior school coffee mornings where we have staff from a range of different schools that come in, and you can meet them in a very informal basis for our parents and ask them the questions that you can't do when they're putting on an event such as an open day. So it's very much a collaborative process between home and school to make sure we make the right decisions and the right choices for schools for each child.
And obviously you've got links with schools, boarding schools as well, that all over the country and within reach of London. Many parents will be thinking about the possible VAT on school fees from January. Do you have any advice that you would give to parents who may be concerned about this?
I think it's going to be a challenging question. The independent schools industry is going to face a challenging few years ahead whilst this is finalised, once we see how it's all going to work out. I know many parents are concerned about the increase in fees. Some schools are passing on the full 20%. Some schools are trying to reduce their fees to help mitigate the effect on parents. But it's going to be challenging, especially when you have two parents who work full time to provide that independent education for their children. We know that we've already seen a slight reduction in clubs uptake this term. So whether people are trying to curb their costs, that's something to think about. But actually, if you can stick with it, look at how the fees are going to impact your budget. Some schools, such as Cameron Vale, have confirmed that they're going to freeze their fees for the coming academic year as well. And that will help families to be able to budget so that they know what their expenses are going to be for the next 18 months or so. So that provides a little bit of stability, at least. It's going to be difficult. I have 2 children who go to boarding school myself, and I know it's going to be very challenging for everybody.
Very much so. The school website highlights the hidden curriculum at Cameron Vale, designed to teach life skills beyond academic success. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about how this is taught and what impact it has on the pupils?
I think that goes back very much to the fact that our school community is very much a family. All the parents here want the best for their children, but in a non-competitive way. And it's about the relationships that we build. We're non-selective academically, and it's about that value added that we can provide for each child. So we have got really fantastic destination school results for children who perhaps didn't shine when they were 3 or 4 coming into reception, but they have grown in confidence. And that personal growth and confidence has helped them grow academically as well. It's about these hidden skills. We can teach computers to do all sorts of things, but those interpersonal skills are so important. The eye contact, the handshake, the being able to share their own opinions, how to discuss things with other children, work collaboratively, but also discuss them with adults as well. How to have those family conversations, to be open and honest and to share how they're feeling. Discussions around the dinner table. Speakers that come in and share their experiences. We were very fortunate to have Menson Bound and Dan Snow, who have just created that Disney Plus film Endurance, came to speak to the children. A really, really unique opportunity for the children to meet these explorers in person and ask them questions. Those sort of experiences are things that you won't get in every school, but they will always remember that. And they will then be able to share that with other people and really be excited about it and said, oh, yes. And I asked him about what they found at the bottom of the ocean and what it was like on the ship. And even down to things like remembrance, where we always have a serving member of the military come. And after the end of our remembrance service, we then invite the children to come and ask more informal questions. And they want to find out about the medals and the uniform. And they will remember, oh, yes, I remember the day that I met that chap from the Rifles and I asked him all of these questions. And these are life experiences that we can provide within our school that just enrich their lives so that they can find out where their interests are. We can find out where their talents are and really nurture them so they've got that value added to offer for the next stage of their education.
That sounds amazing. I'll have to come along to one of the talks. Cameron Vale is part of a bigger group, not uncommon nowadays with the different schools. You're part of the Forfar education group with 10 schools across the country. How do you benefit from being a part of this group, do you feel?
Very much so. So we're a very small school and we're the only school in London. And I'd say in this part of London, we are probably one of the few independent co-ed schools left in this part of Chelsea, in this part of London. Whilst we are part of a group, it's a very small group and each school is very much an individual part of the cog. The central team are like our friendly uncle. They provide us with the support that we just don't have here on site, whether it's IT or HR or finance. And they also act as our critical friend. But more so than that, we collaborate between the schools. So we have an inter-school debating competition where our children will pit their wits and their debating skills against teams in other schools. We do lots of best practice and resource sharing. So we've got staff who do a programme of visits to other schools to go and learn from their colleagues. And it's very much more sharing of best practice, working with a broader team, sharing ideas and information, but also having that central operational financial business support that we can't have here on the ground as being a small school. So really beneficial to us. We're very much a unique school. None of the schools come from a sort of cookie cutter approach. Our decor here will be very different to the decor in any of the other schools. You won't walk in and think, oh yes, this school comes from this particular group. Very, very unique. But the big benefits are having a broader team to work and collaborate with, rather than just being a standalone on our own.
That feel of community, isn't it? What are your plans or hopes for the future of Cameron Vale?
We have a really fantastic staff team here. They work amazingly well together. And one of the things that we are working on is embedding our staff so that they are really well trained in best practice, adaptive teaching, and making sure that the children have the best education that they can. We've just done our parent and staff surveys and they've been incredibly positive about the vision and the curriculum and the direction of travel that Cameron Vale School is going in as a London prep school. And we're going to continue to build on that. We want more families to be able to benefit and thrive and flourish from all that we have to offer here. Yes, we're small, we are very nurturing, we've got a strong pastoral care, but that doesn't mean it's just a school for shyer children. We actually have lots of very sporty boys here as well, which sometimes surprises people. But from a classroom point of view, they need that small class size to develop their academics. And we have a big outdoor sport provision so that they can then run around and run that energy off later as well. But really, it's to continue in the same vein of travel, to continue to provide a really excellent education for local families who mostly come by their scooters or they walk or just a short drive away in Fulham, Parsons Green, or maybe further up towards Kensington, Knightsbridge and Mayfair, but to continue to provide what we offer to families in our local area.
Sounds wonderful, and I love visiting, and I hope to be back soon. So thank you very much for your time, Alison.
Thank you for having me.